Welcome to a special edition of Positively West Virginia. I'm your guest host, Laura Seybold, and today I am so excited to be talking to my dear friend, the beautiful, intelligent, and kind Rebekah Matuga.
Thank you so much, Laura. Very, very excited to be here, have this conversation with you, and ready to get started.
I know, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Positively West Virginia. Positively West Virginia.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, and Humble Influence. With the help of these sponsors, we're able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one from today's episode.
So, Rebekah, I know today we are here to talk about your business, which is brilliantly named Pausing Well, which I absolutely love.
Thank you.
Amazing name. And I think before we even get into the business, it would probably be helpful just to hear a little bit about you. So if you don't mind, take a few minutes and tell us your story.
All right, Laura. Well, I'll be brief. So originally I am from Harrison County, West Virginia, Chinston. I grew up there. I have a brother and a sister. My parents still live there. I visit very frequently, and growing up, I really like the sciences, math, and so when I started thinking about what I wanted to do for a career, blood scared me. So I went the pharmacy route, which a lot of pharmacists share that same story. They like the medical field, they like math and science, but hate blood, and that was my story as well. So I went the pharmacy route and fell in love. Always thought, I'll never work in a hospital. And then, 5 or 6 years into my career, I was in a hospital. And then I said, I'll never be in administration. And then a couple years later, I'm in administration. So the last decade of that career was really in administration. I learned so much in that career in healthcare. It helped really set me up for what I'm doing now. So I don't regret it. It was really hard to step away and do something different. I was really connected with the work that I was doing, and I was connected with the mission of the organization that I was with. And so it was a difficult decision to take a leap and do something different, especially outside of the traditional pharmacist role. Yeah. But I felt like I was at this stage that I was perfectly prepared for whatever God had next for me.
And nothing's ever wasted.
Yes.
And you did take a really amazing career pivot, and I'm excited for you to share with everyone what you are up to now and what this change and transition has been like for you.
Yeah. So I will admit that when I first stepped away, it was something that God had been calling me to do, and I didn't know what my next step was. And throughout my life, whether it's personal or career, coaches have played a really important role. And I was extremely fortunate to have this wonderful coach step into my life, Laura, who really helped me to determine what that next step was. And working with you was one of the best things that I ever, best decisions I ever made, because I didn't really know what God was calling me to do. I was busy. I was in a career. I didn't have time to step away. And so taking that time off to really start from the ground up. And, it was a couple sessions in where this vision just came alive, this vision that wasn't there before, but it made perfect sense. And it tied into my training, and it tied into my own experiences. And I just took off from there.
Yes. And very early on, it was evident, even though you weren't quite certain what you wanted to do, what I think really stood out and was evident was how passionate you were about women's health and education, training, having a positive impact. And so let's dive in and talk about how Pausing Well came about.
Okay. Well, Pausing Well came about just thinking about my own journey. And like I said, the role of coaches throughout my journey and the role that I played as a coach to patients and to employees. And that role is so impactful, especially when there's not a clear-cut, path.
Yes.
So, and that's the case with women going through these pause periods. Whether you're entering perimenopause and you get the signals that, hey, you're here or not, which some women don't, and then on to menopause, there's not a clear path. There's not a blood test that says, yep, you're here. And there's not a standard protocol for this is going to work for every woman, whether it's specific lifestyle or specific medications, because every woman is different. And that's what I experienced. It took several years to figure out what was going on. And in the midst of this few years, it was chaotic, and there was a lot of confusion and overwhelm. But there was also this fear that kind of silenced me in a way. And when I did finally figure out this is perimenopause, then I had to figure out what is my strategy. And there's not really a guide. I couldn't find a guide, back then, which it was, almost a decade ago. We didn't have all the social media influencers that we have today and educators that we have today, which I'm very thankful for. But then enter, menopause, and then you are entering a completely different era and challenges. And so throughout my journey, I was doing the research on my own, which I have a lot of training and experience in research. So I felt like that I was doing it for myself in the evenings and the weekends, and then figuring out what worked for me. And so on this journey, over the last, a year or so, it's been validating that what worked for me will also work for other women, and formalizing that training, So obviously there are no two perimenopause journeys that are the same, right? We talk about this all the time.
Yes.
And even my journey at one point was different 6 months later and 2 years later. And my symptoms are different than anyone else's symptoms. But one thing is for sure, whether a woman has symptoms or not, those symptoms are signaling changes underneath that you can't feel yet.
Yes.
And so that's where the lifestyle habits become so critical, because even if you don't have symptoms, there are changes going on underneath. And if you wait for symptoms that occur when the long-term implications occur, like breaking a bone or the cardiovascular disease, et cetera, then it's a lot harder to try to reverse. And in a lot of cases, it's not reversible. So during perimenopause is the time to start preparing your body. And that's what I learned. And that's what I think is missing. Is missing from our traditional healthcare model that we have now.
Yes. I think this is a topic that is not talked about enough. If I think about previous generations, it was essentially a lot of women just suffering in silence, right? And I think back to my mom was older when she had me. So I think a lot about, wow, I think during my childhood, she was probably in perimenopause and then going into menopause. And I mean, she was pretty irritable. I thought that was her personality, but it might not have been now that I think back on it. But it's not something that was ever discussed.
Right.
And so I think there is, number one, still a complete lack of information about it, but also a lot of misinformation too. And so you and I talk a lot about, I feel like you're putting a puzzle together. You don't even know what the overall image of that puzzle is supposed to look like. And you get one piece at a time when you're researching or you're listening to an expert talk or you're just sharing amongst friends different journeys. It's like, oh, got another piece. Oh, got another piece to try to put this little puzzle together to figure out what is going on. And I think it's also challenging that we're talking about a decade plus of time, right?
Oh,
this is not like
short.
Something, it's not a pregnancy. And there's a lot of resources devoted to pregnancy, as there should be. But, that's 9 months. We're talking 10 plus
10
years, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The perimenopause time period is 7 to 10 years. And no one ever tells us about that. And, that was one of my pivotal moments was when that first gynecologist said the word perimenopause to me. And I just remember thinking on that for so long. Like, what? Now what?
Yes.
Why didn't anyone prepare me? Why didn't anyone talk about this?
Yes.
Or, and at the time, I still didn't fully grasp the long-term challenges that I could experience. And so at that moment, I was just thinking, wow, so I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was some relief, but at the same time, there was this frustration. And as someone who went through a healthcare field, I have a doctorate degree in pharmacy. We study all of the health challenges that we treat with medications, and skimmed over perimenopause. And it wasn't the school that I went to, which is an amazing school. I think it's the lack of research in the area at the time, and the lack of guidance that we give to patients. And so it hadn't been prioritized. It wasn't prioritized in my studies. And so there was that frustration on both accounts. Why didn't anyone prepare me as a patient?
Yes.
And why didn't I learn about this in pharmacy school?
Right.
And so I haven't been preparing patients maybe as well as I could have over the years. So I had that mixed frustration in that moment, but it was I was met with an amazing doctor who gave me as much as she could in her short time spot.
Few minutes that she had with you.
Short few minutes, yes.
Right?
Yes. But it did allow me to go and start doing my own research. And that's when my journey started improving, I guess.
That's amazing.
Yes.
This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. Here at InnerAction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com.
Welcome back to this special edition of Positively West Virginia. I'm your guest host, Laura Seybold, and today I am here with Rebekah Matuga, founder of Pausing Well. So we were talking about the fact that there really is a lack of information, even about people's personal journeys, and everyone's story is different, as you said earlier. I think if I read, you can tell me if this is correct or not, but there's somewhere around 32 different symptoms of perimenopause.
Yeah, I think there's it's into the 80s now.
Wow.
Yes.
So pretty much everything you could probably lump into the category. And I think what's interesting too is the age spans of when this happens for people is quite varying as well, right?
Absolutely.
Like mid 30s potentially, or late 30s, all the way into.
So if you think like perimenopause is typically 7 to 10 years, the average age of menopause for women in the U.S. is right around 51. So rewind that, 10 years, the average age is 41 to start perimenopause. But remember, that's average. So a lot of women start perimenopause earlier than that, and some are later. And I happen to be on the earlier side, still in the normal range, but much earlier than I think it was on anyone's radar, and it certainly wasn't on mine.
Right.
Because at the time, I had no idea it would last so long, and was thinking menopause, hot flashes, night sweats, I'll be in my, mid-50s or so. It just hadn't even entered my thoughts yet.
Yeah. Are you willing to share a little bit about your story and how this went for you?
Yeah, sure. So I started perimenopause in my mid-30s. And probably one of the earliest symptoms was a change in my body temperature. I didn't immediately have like hot flashes or night sweats, but my body temperature was I was just warm, and I'd been cold my entire life. And so, my doctor checked my thyroid and things like that, iron levels, and everything was fine. And so it was like, well, you're just imagining, maybe
just warm.
Yeah. You're just body temperature is warming up, which I thought, oh, okay. And then occasionally I would lose my words, and I thought, oh, that's weird. And I have dementia on both sides of my family, and I started thinking, is this something more? I'd worked across from a dementia clinic. I had a lot of experience with these patients, one-to-one, and I thought, no, I definitely, I'm too young for that, but I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. One of the symptoms that probably created the most fear with me was palpitations. And so I started having these palpitations, and
palpitations.
Yes.
Right?
And my mom has cardiovascular disease. My grandmother had cardiovascular disease. And I thought palpitations related to cardiovascular disease only. I had no idea that it could, the palpitations could be my thyroid. It could be my, in a part of the perimenopause journey. So the fear just overwhelmed me. And I was at this busy part of my life. And I don't recommend this, but I didn't tell anyone. So
more common than
it is
we
so
realize.
common. It's so common. So what would I recommend is that you do share it with your provider, and then you do rule out anything cardiac related. But in my personal journey, I didn't. And I remember a specific day. I was leaving Walmart on my way home, and I went to get on the interstate, and it happened again. And I thought, oh, I got to pull over. Like, what if it doesn't start again? And I don't want to have an accident on the interstate. And when I was pulled over on the road, I pulled up my phone, and I thought, I'm just going to start a note in my phone so that if something happens to me, my husband will look at my phone and see that, oh, she was having heart palpitations. Not that, again, not recommended.
Dear diary, because I didn't tell anyone what was going on.
Yes, yeah. So that was the level of fear that I had. And it just consumed me. I thought about it all the time, but I didn't take the time to go see a doctor, and so many women don't.
No.
Because they think it could only be one thing, and I don't have time to think about that or deal with that.
Yes.
And so fast forward, my mom, had to have heart surgery, and I'm sitting in the ICU waiting room, and I'm sitting there, and I start having palpitations, and I thought, this is going to be me as well. And I felt a little bit hopeless because I thought it was just part of my genetic makeup. And genes do play a very important role in everyone's journey. I like to say, as many say, genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we all have some underlying risks that can be adjusted by our lifestyle factors.
Yes.
And so really understanding that made a huge difference for me in my journey. So when I finally did get that diagnosis and I started on hormone therapy, over the years I talked a lot about family history of different types of cancers and some of my fears around that. And that same gynecologist who had been so gentle and loving in her diagnosis and approach with me, she said, well, then let's just check. And so we did. And found that I had a BRCA2 mutation, which does carry a lot of risk.
Wow.
And so even though I was, several years into my perimenopause journey and was finally feeling like, okay, I'm making some adjustments, I'm feeling better. I was faced with surgical menopause.
Yes.
And so I opted, which everyone doesn't opt for this, but I opted for surgical prevention.
Okay.
And had went into surgical menopause, which meant that it was menopause overnight.
Wow.
And what the education that I didn't get, the preparation that I didn't get was, all right, your risks are going to be higher because of that, and your symptoms are going to start and to change real quick.
And you're just getting adjusted to being in perimenopause. And now, and I guess the benefit of having a decade-long transition period is that you're slowly preparing for what's next.
Yes.
You had it overnight.
Yes, I had it overnight.
Wow.
And I wasn't prepared. And I felt like, I'm starting this all over again. And so, but it was a journey that, looking back, I think, because I started early, because I had just about all the symptoms on that super long list, this is one of the reasons that I felt called to do this, because I feel like I've been trained in how to evaluate the research that's out there.
Yes.
I've lived the journey myself. I've lived the experience of what works and what doesn't, and those feelings of being overwhelmed with all the options that are out there, and really, how do you determine what's best for you, how to prioritize those options, and how important it is to do that, and not just try to do them all. So I live that journey, and that's what brings me a lot of confidence now that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So today, fast forward today, what we see is, one is I'm extremely grateful that there are some providers who were willing to step out and say, hey, you know what? We haven't prioritized this. Maybe we should have done this a little bit different. Maybe we haven't prepared you as best we could, but here's what you need to do now.
Yes.
And then they've been doing this for a few years now, but it's almost becoming a little trendy in ways. And there's a lot of supplements and a lot of people out there saying, oh, just take this medicine. And women, in the sense of being overwhelmed and in the busiest part of their life, it is tempting to think, oh, yeah, maybe this one thing is going to make everything, all my symptoms better.
Yes.
But it's not just about the symptoms today. It's about how to create a body that is strong for the long term.
Yes.
Right? And so that's where the work of small steps in one area until it becomes habit, until it becomes part of who you are.
Yes.
Right? That's how you know it's sustainable. When it works for your lifestyle, when it's something that you like, when it's not hard.
Yes.
When you're not having to count, when you're at a place where you're comfortable and you don't feel like perfection's the goal, and you feel good and you sleep good, that's when you know that this is sustainable.
Yes.
And a lot of what women see today is you just need to take this one supplement without building foundations first. Yeah, supplements can be really helpful, especially if you have a deficiency.
Right.
But a lot of times, some of the supplements and some of the tactics that are out there are really aimed more for optimization stage.
Yes.
And when I first start working with a woman, I do a thorough assessment of their lifestyle and their habits and their medical history to establish a baseline, right? And then prioritize their strategy over the next 6 months. All right, here's where we're going to start based on everything that we have here. And we're going to start with some small goals.
Yes.
Now, over time, once we meet those small goals, then we can optimize. But there's not going to be an impact from this supplement if you don't have those foundational small goals met before you start. And then you're just going to get frustrated and say, oh, I'm just an anxious person. Oh, I'm not meant to sleep well.
Right.
Oh, I'm just going to be weak. Everyone, all the women in my family, no one in my family likes to work out. I'm just weak. And that's who I am. But it doesn't have to be.
No.
Right.
And you also don't have to assume that suffering is just a part of this.
Absolutely,
I think
right.
that's one of the biggest misnomers out there.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
told that myself. Well, it's normal to feel this way at your age.
Yes.
And at that time, I was like 38 when I was told that. And I'm like, what? Is this the beginning of the decline? I'm like 38. And
Yes.
you and I talk about this as well. I mean, when this is happening with women, it's typically when they're really at their prime in terms of what they've got going on in their life. It's a demanding career, perhaps. There might be taking care of children and parents at the same time. Just a lot going on. And they're maybe not at their prime physically and may or may not even be aware of that. Because I do think sometimes you just slowly do decline and you don't even realize how bad you actually feel, or you're not paying attention to the symptoms, or you feel the symptoms and you're just ignoring them, or saying, well, this is just what it is. I'm just, in a phase of life where I'm going to feel terrible. And that is not how this has to work. So
it's not. And you're right. I mean, regardless of what a woman is doing, at this age range, 35 to 55, whatever her calling is, she's probably at the top of it or getting close to the top of whatever field that she's in, right? So life is full, whether it's caring for family generations above, generations below, your community, you might have kids who are going off to college. Or some women, they call it a hormone household, have a child in adolescence.
Yes, isn't that interesting?
Puberty at the same time. So we have two females in the same house going through a hormonal transition.
Yes, really fun.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of funny memes about that. But anyway, that would be super challenging, right? And I think that's probably what my mom had experienced with my sister and I. And so, there's so much going on. And so it's tempting to think, these feelings are just because I'm overwhelmed with life.
Yes.
And ignore not feeling like yourself.
Yes.
Ignore the brain fog. Ignore the nights of not getting much rest.
Yes.
Now, is stress a contributor? Absolutely. But when your hormones start fluctuating, so does your cortisol. And so do the other. So it's a layered effect on that sense of overwhelm. And so, there's a couple different camps of women, the ones that say just push through. And once I make it through the symptoms, I'm smooth sailing, right? But what they don't, or what maybe they don't know, and that's likely the case, is that those symptoms are a signal that things are changing.
Yes.
And it's our opportunity to say, oh, wait, what do I need to change about my strategy?
Yes.
What do I need to do for my long-term health, right? And I tend to think about that 10 to 15% of women that don't have symptoms, because there are women that go through perimenopause and menopause without anything on that list. And I don't think there's not research to say exactly why that happens, but we do know that there's 10 to 15% of women that go through these transitions and have no symptoms. And to me, that's the scariest, because they don't have that signal other than, a year without a period, which is technically menopause. They don't have the other symptoms that, hey, I need to change my strategy.
Right.
And so they don't change their strategy.
Yes.
But every woman will start to experience accelerated bone loss and changes in your muscles and changes in your vessels, which can impact your brain and your heart, and things that if you don't start changing your strategy, you can see some long-term impact.
Yes. And that's what I think is really important, because I know a lot of women are overwhelmed. They're busy. They're in survival mode every day. So they're not necessarily thinking about the choices that they make today, how those are going to impact them 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. And so this is, I think, twofold in terms of what you're offering, is that I can help you in the short term, probably feel better, but also help ensure that there's a good strategy for the long term as well. And if you do want to really be a good caretaker, as I know many women are primed to be a caretaker of someone or something, that this is actually going to help support that for you, that you're going to be better, you're going to be the best version of yourself if you take care of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I think about, I have grandparents, my grandma and my great-grand, who both suffered with Alzheimer's dementia. And I know that's one of my mom's fears, and it's one of mine too. And I want to participate with my two grandsons. I want to be there as long and play in the yard and play in the stream and go on a hike and do all the things for as long as I can. I don't want to spend the last decade or two in a facility because of dementia. And so how do I best set up for them? How do I best care for them? It's to be healthy too. So it's not just caring for myself. It is caring for my husband and my grandchildren, my family.
Yes.
It's not just taking care of me. It's taking care of them too and stewarding what God gave me.
Yeah. The body that God gave you.
Yes.
You're listening to Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
In a world obsessed with leadership, what if the real key to success is followership? We hear it all the time. Be a leader, take charge. But what if the most impactful people aren't the ones leading from the front? In Humble Influence, I explore how humility, collaboration, and shared purpose empower followers to create meaningful change in business, organizations, and relationships. Discover the strength of true followership with Humble Influence.
Welcome back to this special edition of Positively West Virginia. I'm Laura Seybold, and I'm here with Rebekah Matuga, founder of Pausing Well. And Rebekah, you mentioned earlier something about overwhelm, which really stands out to me because I know social media is very smart with their algorithms, and I feel like my entire feed, they've got me figured out. They know everything about me, but my entire feed is related to, okay, women of your age are supposed to have 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal weight, and you need to be lifting heavy weights so many times a week, and you need to be walking 10,000 steps a day, and you need to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night, and you need to keep your stress levels low so that your cortisol doesn't go up. And that gives me heart palpitations.
Of course it does.
Trying to figure out how do you do all that and work and go to your children's activities if you have children and all the other things that women have going on in their lives. And so I think it is very overwhelming. I know that I have said to you many times, isn't there just a magic bullet? Can I just take a hormone and it makes it all better and check all the boxes? And something that I've really learned from you is, no, Laura, you can't, there's not a one size fits all solution.
That's right.
It's much more about being customized to the person. And so I think that's one of the great things about what you offer in your business is that personalized strategy. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what your approach is there.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about that. It absolutely is personalized. And it's not even person to person, but Laura, your journey today is different than what it's going to be in 2 years. And so the better you understand that, the better that we can tweak it over time. And so what I found was that overwhelm of all the things I should be doing once I started doing the research, not having the time. I was in a busy career. And so I had to figure out what to prioritize first. And that's the biggest challenge, is not trying to do 15 things at once, right? Because you're going to fail.
Yes.
Even doing 2 things at once, you're going to fail because you've already got a full life.
Yes.
Right? So how do I pick that one thing and do it in a way that becomes part of who I am and not just something else on my to-do list?
Yes.
So that's where I start with women, with that really thorough look at where they, their health and their journey and their symptoms and so on. And then creating that personalized strategy and then walking them through, okay, we're going to start here, and we're gonna start with small steps until we get you there. And along that journey with these lifestyle habits, we talk about, okay, how do we optimize? Once we meet some initial goals, how do we optimize it? Do you have some deficiencies? Are there things that you need to talk about with supplements or other ways to optimize that particular lifestyle pillar or habit, right? And then some women do benefit from hormones. And I would say that most women do, that there are also nuances,
right?
Dosing and timing. And if you think about the perimenopause transition, it's not a steady decline. It is it's a chaotic time, right?
Yeah.
Your estrogen and progesterone are all over the place. So you may not respond well.
Yeah.
And you also have to think about things like, do you need protection from sperm? And so there are a lot of considerations that every woman has to think about at all the different stages in this perimenopause and menopause journey. And that's where I help women to say, okay, here's where you are right now.
Yeah.
Let's start to make some changes. And don't think about this other stuff yet, right? Let's just focus on this. And by just focusing on one of the lifestyle habits, you'll feel it in the others.
Yes.
Right? And so I think that's what I learned more than anything was as I started working through these, a decade ago, the impact that I felt on the other areas of my life. And so you can tell someone that all day long, but until they experience it, that's why you go one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time that's manageable and that fits your life. Because if I tell you, Laura, okay, you need to get 100 grams of protein, right? I have no idea what your preferences are. I have no idea if you cook or not, if you meal prep, if you eat all your meals out, if you're traveling all the time. It doesn't help you.
Exactly.
And that's where that personalized approach, I help you figure out how to get that in for you, right? Because my goal is to make sure that these are habits that that can become part of who you are.
Yeah, and
right?
sustainable.
Sustainable. It isn't sustainable to count calories every day, and it doesn't work the same. The game has
Your
changed.
calorie count's different than my calorie count,
and it is no longer calories in, calories out, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's not the game. I think when I had a coach who once told me a couple of years ago, Rebekah, I think that you might be under eating, and me, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, there's no way. Under eating. I feel like I ate okay, but it doesn't make any sense. If I'm gaining weight, I'm not, then I must be eating too much. Yes. And that's the same thing that most women do fall into.
Yes.
If you're gaining weight or you have this resistant weight, then women think, I have to exercise more and eat less.
And starve myself.
And then you've got another level of mood dysfunction because you're hangry.
That's not going to help anything. But that is a classic.
Yes.
I mean, I've been there, done that a million times.
Yeah. And as we're in this journey, skipping a meal makes your cortisol jump. Okay. Well, that's not good because we've already got all of these hormonal changes and the impact of estrogen and progesterone on cortisol. And then you skip a meal and you've got a cortisol spike. And so you just have these layering effects. Yes. So when I had this coach tell me this, and I thought, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Yeah. Okay. But when I started implementing the strategy of actually feeding my current body the way that I should, I was like, it was amazing. Not only did I feel better, but I started shedding weight that I'd been trying to for quite some time.
Yeah. But the important thing about that is the notion of what got you here won't get you there. And I do hear women a lot say, gosh, this is what I used to do in my 20s, or this is what I used to do in my 30s. It's not working anymore. Yeah. Well, guess what? Because you're not 20 anymore. And so you need a new strategy.
That's
you need a new plan. And what I love is that you just completely simplify everything. I love that you are looking at it from a slightly different perspective, I think, sometimes than what we're used to. So if a woman even finds someone who maybe has training, which is another fascinating thing, is a lot of physicians have not as much training as people would assume in this topic, right? So not only are you looking at it from the pharmacist perspective, which I think is hugely helpful, but then you've gone on to do a lot of additional certifications and programs specific to this. And I think that is really important because you're right, it's trendy now. There's starting to be places that pop up and offer a lot of promises to women. And I think women have to be really smart about who they're going to in terms of providers, because it might be someone who is offering a one-size-fits-all magic bullet type approach. And And maybe it may or may not work for you, but it's unfortunate. But there are some people too that are maybe not necessarily thinking about what's best for that woman holistically, but potentially thinking about what's best for their pocketbook.
Absolutely.
And what'll make the most income for them. And that's a shame, because I think, again, this is a hard journey for women in terms of just trying to get good, accurate information. And so then on top of that, you also do need to be aware of, there are some people out there that maybe don't have the credentials in terms of what they're talking about, and could lead you down a path that's really maybe not the best for you. Yes. But more the best for them and their business. And so that's, I know you would never say that. That's why I'm saying it for you. But I do think that's something that's very unique about you, is the fact that you do very much care about each woman's individual journey. And that's why you have done the research, the certifications, all of the extras that you've had to make sure that you are taking care of someone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If anyone says, you just need to take this, you will feel better. If they offer that, silver bullet, that's a red flag, because there's not one. And if that one supplement does help with a symptom, then that's fabulous.
Yeah.
But it's not a single supplement.
Yes.
It's the foundations of your lifestyle that will make the long-term impact. And those supplements can help optimize those, And so that's how I like to frame it with women is, you can absolutely get some symptom relief with some things, with some medications and supplements. But what are your foundations that are going to carry you for the best decades of your life? I feel I'm 48. This is the most energy I've ever had. This is the best I've ever felt in my life.
That's amazing.
And it's for as long as I can remember. And so, and you talk about, or you hear women who are on this journey talk about in their 60s and 70s, they feel great. And that's the journey I'm on.
Don't you want to feel that way?
That's the journey I'm on.
Yeah, because I think modern medicine has done a really good job of extending people's lifespan, but not necessarily the quality.
Not their health span. That's right. So health span is the healthy years, right?
Yes.
So I don't want to live chronologically, to be a 95 or 100 if my health span ends at 85. Right? So I just pray that I go in the middle of the night like everyone does.
As vibrant as you are right now. Yes, we should all want for that. But it does require some intentionality.
Yes.
That is not just going to happen on its own. And I mean, you've done the hard work. You've done the research. Now the rest of us can get the benefit of just saying, Rebekah, help me. What do I do?
Yeah, so there is work involved.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, and sometimes it's tweaking, because what works for most women may not work for you. And that's where a coach is really is a great tool.
Yes.
Because I'm going to stick with you until we find something that works, right? Something that works for your lifestyle, something that you like. Because if you don't like it, it's not going to stick, right? And I can't say that I love working out. It was kind of the last pillar that I addressed, right? For a lot of reasons. But I never wake up and say, oh, yes, I'm so excited to go to the gym today.
Right.
But I feel amazing after I go. Yeah. And that's my fuel for the next time that I go. And I don't overdo it. I've learned what that balance is that I need. So it works for me. And I know, it's meeting those habits that I need to sustain me. Yeah. And I enjoy the people that I see, and I enjoy the work and the progress. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. But and I think the nice thing about a coach too is that someone's looking out for you.
Yeah.
Someone is saying, I got you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you and take care of you. And I think especially for women, because a lot of times women are wired to be so focused on taking care of everybody else. It's like, well, who's taking care of you? Right.
That's right. That's
and
right.
so to know that there is someone there who you can say, gosh, you know, I'm really having a hard time with this or that, or I don't know what to do about this, or I'm so busy. I just can't, I don't have time for this. For someone to say, hey, 20 minutes. Can we carve out 20 minutes? Can we carve out 5 minutes today to try to figure out just, you know, slow but small and steady goals to get you to where you want to go. Just knowing that someone's there looking out for you, I think that's huge too.
Yeah, I know. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, having a coach in various aspects of my life over the years has made a huge difference. And so I've learned the value of having a coach with different aspects. Of course, I couldn't find a coach for this particular aspect, which is why I'm here.
That's how many great businesses start, right?
Yes.
You scratch your own itch.
Yes. And so, it can actually, it can be just transformative to have someone be right along with you. It's also a little bit of accountability.
Yes.
I know that's what I've experienced.
Yes.
But I'm not spending 3 hours scrolling at night to figure out what are my options? Is there good research behind this? Am I wasting my time? Is this real? Is this really
Is this normal?
Yeah. Is this normal? And so that's one of the values of having a coach.
Yeah, I agree. Tell me who in your mind is an ideal client or a dream client for you.
Today,
Yeah.
in this current phase,
Yes.
So the ideal client is someone who, you know, maybe has some risks in her family and might be experiencing some symptoms and doesn't want to end up the way maybe her mom did or her grandma did, and is ready to make some changes, maybe overwhelmed with work or life, and just struggling to find time to figure out what to do.
Yes.
Because I offer all my services virtually, you can literally do it in your office at lunch, right? Or from wherever you are. You take away the travel time because your time's already, you know, pretty tight, right? So for that woman who is ready to make the investment in herself and those that she loves by taking care of herself for the long term, that's the woman that I love helping because she's ready, right? And the impact that she'll have on the women around her too, it's layered. It multiplies.
Yes.
And so that's my ideal client. I think long term, I would love for women coming into this season to know what's coming.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To know. So the education system, so again, research, you know, really drives our education system, and that drives what we practice. And so that whole system has to change, and there's a pathway right now that's starting, but you know, studies show it takes like 17 years to end up at, you know, with every patient. So my dream is to have that every woman know what to expect, just like every woman knows what to expect when you get pregnant because you train for it, because you
there's literally a book that says what to expect when you're expecting.
Yes. And your insurance pays for an appointment, right? To help train you. And so that's my goal is to get women to the point where building these habits is part of taking care of your body.
Yes.
You know, that this does not, taking care of your body doesn't mean you skip all your preventative stuff and your screenings. Those are critical. Don't ever skip those, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't replace your traditional medicine. It enhances you know what questions to ask. You know what to tell your provider, which I didn't for years. I was like, oh, I'm going to see this doctor. I give them the symptoms that I think are related to probably what they want to hear, but never giving the full picture.
Like
and again,
eye doctor, going to the eye doctor.
Yes. Yeah. And
Guess what?
Yes.
Hormones impact your eyes.
Yes. They impact everything.
knew?
And your teeth. Yeah, your gums. Yes. So just having women have that knowledge to know what to share, what to ask, it enhances traditional healthcare.
It does.
Right? You have a short amount of time. If your doctor says, okay, well, you might benefit from having more sleep, you have the skills to be able to make those adjustments to your sleep, right? And so that's my ideal state, is to get to that point and a woman know that, hey, when I start not feeling like myself, which is a really hard diagnosis. It's not technically a diagnosis, right? But
there's code for that.
There's not a code for that. There's not a code for that. And in traditional healthcare, codes drive a lot of our treatment algorithms. And so there's not a code for, I don't feel like myself. But yet, that is probably the most common first symptom that women have, and there's no diagnosis for it because it's different for you, it's different for me.
Exactly.
And because if I don't feel like myself, then it depends on what my baseline is, right? To what the change is. And so, but if we give women that education earlier in life, and they know that if they reach a point and they feel like, oh, wait, something's not right.
Yeah.
That number one, they believe themselves, right?
Yes.
Trust your intuition. If you don't feel like yourselves, then
You're not crazy.
it's a signal.
Yes.
It's a signal. And what does that signal mean? And so maybe I'm starting this transition, and maybe it's time that I need to start changing my strategies. My sleep is going to change. I'm not losing it. I'm not developing dementia.
Right.
I need to have, if I'm having palpitations, I need cardiology to rule out something else.
Yes.
But you're not living in fear.
Yes.
And
also not blowing it off, because
yes.
recognizing the implications of that, right? I mean, I grew up watching my mom completely destroy her own health, because I know in her mind that was the definition of being a good mother, sacrificing self for the benefit of others, right?
Yes.
But then when I watched the last 10, 15 years of her life be horrible quality, all of us children would never have wished that upon our mother. And so I do think that, again, even in my own life, I am surrounded by women that I can see every day making choices that hurt their own health in service of others around them, thinking that that's a really noble thing to do.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they're actually not bringing the best version of themselves in terms of being, the best employee they can be, the best spouse or partner they can be, the best mother they can be, the best dog mom, whatever they are. They're not actually winning at what they think they're winning right now.
Yes.
So I do think that's a really important message, is to say, again, if you don't feel like yourself,
it's a signal. It's a signal. Yes. And our bodies give signals when we need to pay attention. I think that's part of God's design. And that's a signal. It's believe yourself, though. Don't live in fear. Believe yourself, and look at your strategies. Know that it could be a change or starting point for something else in your transition.
And if you need help with a strategy,
contact
Rebekah.
Yes, I would love to help.
Because you don't have to do it alone and try to figure it out. And like you said, scroll for 3 hours a night trying to solve this problem for yourself.
Yes, and I do think, when I hear from women, I don't have time for that. I think back to myself, how many hours did I spend looking, researching on my own? How much time did I spend trying things that didn't work?
Yes.
There's a lot of time that we spend that could probably be better spent.
Yeah.
For in the long term, unless I
agree. It's unbelievable. And you, like I said, you've taken really a lot of the guesswork and the overwhelm out of it, and can hand-hold people through this process and take care of them with a fully customized, personalized approach, which I think is amazing.
It has to be. To be sustainable, it has to be personalized. Yes.
So, Rebekah, how do people get in touch with you if they are interested in working with you?
I have a website, RebekahMatuga.com.
RebekahMatuga.com. We have to spell Rebekah because there's like 15 different ways to spell Rebekah.
Yes. It'll be in the show notes.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to guess it's going to be in the show notes.
Yes.
I'm also on Instagram and TikTok.
Oh.
So I do have some educational videos out there and just for people to get started,
Yeah.
Because even I think it gives me a lot of joy when I run into someone and I did a couple of weeks ago and like I ran across your video. I had no idea what was happening to me, but you described it. And so I started talking to my mom and my sister and I went to my doctor and sure enough, this is what's going on. And so to me, I'm like, I hope.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great feeling.
Yeah.
And all the women that I've just been so fortunate to work with, and I think, it's a lasting impact for years. It's extremely rewarding.
Yes. And I love just watching how excited you got, and you can see the passion that comes through, or even if someone's just listening, you can even hear it in your voice that you really do care. And that's what I admire so much about you, is how much you care about people, and particularly your clients that you work with, and that's such a gift for that person to know that they're very cared for and well taken care of by you.
Absolutely. I say, my goal is to strengthen the capacity of women to fulfill the purpose they have on their life.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
We
all have a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And we have potential. And I just want to strengthen that. So a longer version of that is, working with women in midlife who just start to lose confidence in their bodies and themselves. So I just equip these women to step out of that overwhelm and fear by providing this personalized strategy, lifestyle habits, hormones and supplement, guidance, and biblical truths, if that's part of their journey. Because I want women to thrive with this confidence and strength and purpose for the best decades of their life, which are to come.
Yes. I love it. Anything that we have not discussed today that you were hoping we would get to talk about?
I would say if you were on the fence with, do I start? It's not too early to start, and it's not too late to start.
That's important too.
I talk to women every week who say, okay, most of my videos do mention perimenopause, but I'm well past menopause. Is it too late for me? And the answer is no. It is not too late. The strategy is different, but the strategy for every woman is different.
Right.
It is not too late to start. And so, we all have that purpose on our life. And none of us know how many days left we have, right?
But as long as you're here and breathing.
But if you are here and breathing, then it is not too late. It is not too late. Yeah. So I think that will be part of my message, that it's never too early to start building the habits, knowing that your strategy is going to have to change through the years, and it's never too late.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Well, I know you already said it, but I'm going to ask you to say it again, because Jim usually starts his podcast with the 30-second pitch. And yours is so good that I'm thinking we close today's episode by having you really give your 30-second pitch for Pausing Well.
Thank you, Laura. So I strengthen the capacity of women to fulfill the purpose that they have on their life. And that is my why. That's my passion. That's where I get the most joy.
Yes.
Right? The longer version is that I work with women in midlife who start to lose confidence in their bodies and themselves, especially during the pause periods. So I equip them to step out of that overwhelm and fear with a personalized strategy, lifestyle habits, guidance on hormones and supplements, and biblical truths. So they thrive with confidence and strength and purpose for the best decades of life.
I got chills.
Yeah.
Rebekah, you're amazing.
You are too.
You are so kind and such a dear friend, and I'm so grateful that you came on this show to talk about your business and to be transparent and vulnerable and share your story, because again, there's not enough of that going on and enough sharing of what everyone's journey is like. So thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you. I am so excited to see the impact that you are going to have on the world with your clients that you take on through Pausing Well.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for a great conversation. It felt like it went super fast. So it always does when we talk.
Well, ours go much longer than this episode, but that's okay. If you want to hear an extended version, come on a walk and talk with me and Rebekah.
It might be a couple hours.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark, West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, InnerAction Media, Humble Influence, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.